Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. Look who's here. It's
Hello.
Grace, back again. So there you go. So nice to see you here again. So
I'm happy to be here, as always.
So anyway, guys, what we're going to talk about today is I know that in case if you're wondering, we pretty much already know on Body Bags that the movie version of What We Do in the Shadows has already been reviewed, and you haven't seen that yet, the movie version.
I haven't seen the movie version.
Your sister really likes it, though.
Yeah,
she enjoys
my sister's only seen the movie. I've only seen the show.
Yeah.
We need to combine those forces a little.
Yeah, you two need to get your resources together.
Yeah.
But anyway, so don't worry, guys. I'll probably be like, you want to watch the movie? You want to watch the movie?
I'll watch the movie with you. You don't nudge. I'll watch it.
But anyway, what we're going to talk about today, though, is we're going to talk about season 1 of the TV series of What We Do in the Shadows. And I'm going to be honest with you guys right off the bat, and probably what I'm going to end up saying is going to get me kicked out of Body Bags. But guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I actually kind of prefer the show a little bit more than I do the movie. Okay, now, let me explain, though, first, okay? First of all, what is your opinion of the show? How do you feel about it?
Well, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't make a comparison, but I think the show's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's really well done. I think the acting is really good. I think it's a really funny but super thought out show. Mm-hmm. So I'm really liking it so far. We're almost through season 2, actually.
Yep.
So I've seen just about everything that's up, but
yeah,
I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I've already seen seasons 1 and 2, and you've only got 3 more episodes to go, and you're caught up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we both really enjoy the show, and it's just the movie is fantastic. The movie is great. I'm like everybody else on here. I love the movie. I think it's just wonderful. The thing is, though, is like the thing for me anyway is just when you watch the movie, is just the movie really does leave you wanting more. When the movie's over and it's like, yeah, it was great, but it just didn't feel like enough. And I think the thing that I really enjoy about the show is that the show gives you more, because obviously they got more time to work with, because as opposed to a 90-minute movie, you got 10 half-hour episodes. Another thing that I enjoy about the show is like when movies get turned into TV shows or vice versa, if you don't have the creative team on one or the other, if you don't have them working on it, a lot of times it's like it can really go bad. We've seen that before plenty of times, like when a movie was adapted from a TV show or vice versa. What really works here is that the TV show is written and or directed and is all thought out by the creative team behind the movie. Jermaine, Clement, and Taika Waititi, who they created the movie, and they wrote it, they directed it, they starred in it, everything else. They're the creative heads behind the show, and that's what really makes the show work. But also, too, one of the great things about the show, at least for me, and why the show nudges out the movie as my favorite, is that the show really expands on the universe that the movie started. For example, when you watch the movie, really all you have is just, your traditional vampires, whereas opposed to in the show, you end up with a new character, Colin Robinson, who is a psi-vampire. Like, that's not in the movie. They didn't introduce, or at least I don't think they ever introduced that into the movie. If they did, I must have missed that part. But
the movie didn't have energy vampires?
No, they didn't have psi-vampires or anything like that. And I think maybe zombies in the movie were just briefly hinted at. I think there was maybe like one instance where a zombie was in there. And they do have werewolves. But other than that, that's it. Whereas like on the show, they introduce, you haven't seen it yet. And, I'm not spoiling anything for you, but witches are going to come into play in the show.
Oh, okay.
You saw the episode in season 2. You saw the episode with the ghosts. So we got ghosts in the show.
And I think there have already been zombies too, haven't there?
Yeah, there have been zombies. There have been, we got the werewolves and stuff like that. So there's more to it. And another thing too that I thought was really awesome was that, so it's kind of like it's fun because, with the psi-vampire, he's kind of like, you got your traditional vampires, okay? Your main characters are Nadia, Laszlo, and Nandor. Okay, these are your 3 main vampires, and they're the traditional blood-sucking vampires, and they're they drink blood, they hate crosses, they don't like mirrors, they sleep in coffins during the daytime. So they're your old school traditional vampires, which is fun. But one of the things that's funny though, it's like with Colin Robinson as the Psy vampire, he just gives the vampire shit all the time because he's all like, ha ha ha, yeah, oh yeah, you guys are so tough and you're so scary and yet you can't go out in the daytime and and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's almost like a regular human in every way, except he actually drains the energy out of people.
Yeah,
which and he's kind of an extremely relatable character because I feel like to some extent, even though they're not literally vampires, we all have a Colin Robinson in our lives or in our workplaces.
Yeah, so definitely in the workplace.
Makes it really relatable.
Definitely in the workplace.
But I mean, he sleeps at night and is awake during the day, like most people.
Yeah, and he's like, working a job, but really all he does is he just goes and hangs around in like office buildings and stuff, and he just goes around like bores everybody, or he's like trying to annoy everybody. Oh, and they also, I forgot about that. They had the episode, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think it was the Werewolf Feud episode where they introduced the empathy vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Where she, that's like another addition that was
She basically tells sob stories and, drains people that way.
Yeah. Yes. Whereas like Colin Robinson, like he feeds off of people's energy. She feeds off of people's emotions, like their sympathy and their empathy. And
we pretty much all know someone like that too.
Yeah.
So that's another relatable little.
And while I do really like the characters, I'm sorry, but right now the names of the vampires in the movie are escaping me. But I know one of them is named Deacon. I think another one's named Vladislav. But while I do like the characters in the movie, and those were played by the creators of the movie and the show, Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, one thing that I thought was really a nice addition, and this is probably going to make me sound woke, but I don't care. One thing that I really enjoyed was the addition of a female vampire on the show, because in the movie, it's just all guys, so it's kind of fun to have like a female perspective, with a vampire in the show.
She really does that a lot.
She does. And it's like there's a very fun dynamic, and also too there's a lot of fun like vampire sex jokes and things like that. But yeah, it's she does, it's like she can kind of stand away, and where you get like Nandor and Laszlo, where the two of them can kind of like recreate the vampire dynamic from the movie. She can kind of stand off and like comment on it. She could be like, like Nandor's doing this and he's an idiot, or Laszlo's doing this or whatever. So
yeah.
But yeah. And then another thing too that I thought was really fun is the character of Guillermo, because in the movie version, that's the only bad part. I feel like in a way I'm kind of spoiling the movie for you before you've seen it. So I'm trying not to give away too much, but in the movie version, they do have the familiars. They have the people that, like clean up the dead bodies and look for virgins and things like that. But in the movie, like they really don't play a very big part. They're just kind of there to, clean up after the vampires, but constantly, nag the vampires to, hey, turn me into a vampire already and all this kind of stuff. Whereas like in the show, they really they expand on that with the character of Guillermo. And Guillermo is the familiar of Nandor, and his whole thing is he's a Latino who wants to be a vampire. The first time he saw a vampire, he saw Antonio Banderas in Interview with the Vampire, really good movie by the way. And so he decided from seeing that movie that he wanted to be a vampire. And so like his whole goal is we're not going to give it away, but his whole goal is that he wants to become a vampire. And like the movie. The vampires do not want to change their familiars into vampires. They're more happy just keeping them down, keeping them oppressed, and just constantly make them do their shit grunt work and things like that.
Which you can really see that dynamic in the show.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm not going to give it away, but one of the things that's really fun in the show is that Guillermo, his whole path is that he wants to become a vampire, but at a point near the end of season 1, because obviously, they want to build a cliffhanger to get you to watch the next season. Guillermo finds out a pretty big secret about, him, himself, and everything, and that could, ruin his chances of ever becoming a vampire. And I'm not going to say anything more there, but Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? But first of all, yeah, I would definitely say if you're, I mean, I know you haven't seen the movie yet, but yeah, if you're a fan of the movie and if you're having trepidation going into the TV show, don't. If it feels like the movie, it takes place in the same universe as the movie. You know, the characters from the movie make an appearance in the show at a couple of points. It's just a lot of fun to watch. And for me, it's become a comfort show. It's like I can get home from a day of work and I'm just kind of like, God, I don't really want to get into anything big or heavy. You know what? I'll just put on What We Do in the Shadows and just, have a good laugh at it. But
yeah, because despite being about vampires, it's actually pretty lighthearted.
It is. But don't take that as a sign, though. That, I mean,
no, it's not cheap laughs by any means.
Yeah.
It's lighter than a lot of the horror stuff that probably gets reviewed on this show.
But as as a horror show, don't be scared away by oh God, they're sitting here saying it's all funny and stuff. It's like, no, there's definitely some horror elements in it.
Yeah.
You definitely get you get some carnage in the show. There's definitely blood and kills, and it's like somebody gets bitten in the neck. You see like arterial spray going everywhere. So yeah, I would definitely don't have any trepidation. If you love the movie, you're gonna love the show. That's basically what it boils down to. And we're not going to give away any details really, but just kind of real quick, just kind of give you an idea of what the episodes are about. And then the pilot episode, of course, like any TV show pilot, you're just introducing the characters, kind of introducing the story and the background and the world that they live in and stuff. And kind of like the only thing is they get a visit from the Baron, and this Baron is supposed to be. The Baron is supposed to be like, the ultimate vampire of the universe and stuff like that. And he's coming. And on the one hand, they're scared, but also, too, is this show is going to feel kind of woke in a couple of places. I know I'm sorry to use that term, but one thing you're definitely going to notice about the show is that the vampires are not like they say, well, there's like bisexual. These vampires are basically trisexuals. These horny bastards will try anything.
I think pansexual is the proper term. Well, they'll pretty much just go for anyone or anything.
Yeah.
They don't have a type. They don't have a gender. They don't.
Yeah. They just
go for it. As you'll see in
they just love to do it, and because when they first mentioned that the Baron is coming. At first, we find out, okay, Nadia had an affair with the Baron and all that kind of stuff. So you're saying, okay. But then you find out that Laszlo also had an affair with the Baron. And so that's basically the first episode. And they're scared of the Baron because we come to find out that really, like, our three vampires were supposed to basically, like, take over the world and turn everybody into vampires, and they haven't done it yet. They're like, we're on Staten Island, and it's like, how much of the world have you conquered? It's like, our house and maybe like a couple of houses on the block and stuff. But so there's that one, and then so they feel like they have to hurry up and like, oh my God, we gotta hurry up and start, taking over the world, which leads us into the second episode where Colin Robinson tells them, well, probably if you want to start, the best place to go would be the city council. And so they go to the city council and they're trying to figure out how they're gonna, how they figure they're gonna manipulate and try to work everybody in the city council so that they can try to start taking over the world. Then in the third episode, we bring back the werewolves, and if you see the movie, the werewolves and vampires. Pretty much in like everything that has to deal with werewolves and vampires, the werewolves and the vampires are at war with each other. Same thing like the movie, same thing like Twilight, same thing like Underworld. Every time it seems like they always do that. But,
yeah.
But but that one's pretty funny too. Then we get to our fourth episode, Manhattan Nightclub. Now our vampires, they're still trying to. Like take over the world, so they go to Manhattan to this, this nightclub, and then, they meet with this vampire. But it turns out this vampire, he has a case of the ass against Laszlo because Laszlo has this hat that Nadia can't stand because the hat is cursed. And it's like bad shit always happens whenever, somebody wears the hat. And so she's like constantly like trying to tell Laszlo to get rid of it. It's like, and he's all like, yeah, but the hat is made from witch's skin. And she's like, yeah, that's why it's cursed and everything else. It's like, what's that like that sucking sensation on the back of my neck? Well, that's the witch's asshole, So that one goes there, and then we get into our next episode. Sorry, I'm just kind of going through these to kind of be really blasé about. I just don't want to give away too many details for those of you who have never seen those of you who haven't seen the show yet. So we get into animal control, where Laszlo and Nadia, they're walking along, and so he's talking about like, oh, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to, attack these people and kill them, and you could watch me do it, kind of a voyeuristic thing. And Nadia, meanwhile, she believes this one guy is the reincarnation of a past lover of hers, and she's like trying to reconnect with this guy and see if she can get him to remember her and that she was her past lover and things like that. Well, Laszlo goes into the house. He tries to attack the people in the house. Well, the woman, she beats the shit out of him with a broom, and then they call animal control, and they take him down to the city pound. They put him in a cage and all this. And so now Laszlo can't get out. So now Nandor and Colin Robinson are trying to figure out how they're going to get him out of there, and Guillermo's trying to help too. But ultimately, the only one who could get him out turns out to be Nadia. So they're having trouble because they're trying to find Nadia, but she's like trying to reconnect with this past lover of hers. And then we get to Baron's night out, where they take the Baron out and they're scared shitless of the guy. And they're sitting here like, oh, we got to try to figure out a way to kill him and all this kind of stuff, because they think the Baron is going to kill them. And so they're taking him out. And so kind of like the whole thing is like, they're trying to plot if and when would be a good time to kill him. And we're not going to talk about how that episode ends. It ends funny, though. Then we get to the trial. Now, for me, sorry, guys, she's going to talk, I promise. I know it seems like I'm doing all the talking here.
I don't mind.
But we get to the trial, and for me, this was probably my favorite episode, and this is the only thing I'm going to kind of give spoilers on, guys, is this is the one episode that I think was probably my favorite out of the first season, because something happens with the Baron, and then because of it, Nandor, Laszlo, and Nadia, they're all taken, they have to appear before the Vampiric Council. And of course, Guillermo goes along too, and so they... everywhere they go, it's like, well, we have a room for familiars, so they stick, Guillermo in the familiar room, and then they go in front of this Vampiric Council. Now, the thing that I really enjoyed about this was the Vampiric Council. Sorry, guys, this is the one spoiler I'm going to give away. The Vampiric Council, everybody in there is pretty much actors and actresses that have played famous vampires in other movies or shows.
I don't feel that's too much of a spoiler.
No.
It's just kind of a neat little... addition to the episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to see that, like, okay, the leader of the Vampire Council is Tilda Swinton, who, if you're not familiar, she played a vampire in the movie Only Lovers Left Alive. You have Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. He's basically playing the same vampire character that he played in the movie version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You got the three main vampires from the movie, Vladislav, Deacon, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the other guy's name. Danny Trejo, who played a vampire in the From Dusk Till Dawn trilogy. You got Evan Rachel Wood, who played a vampire. I believe it was True Blood she played a vampire on, and everything. And then of course, it's like the vampire hunter Wesley Snipes, Blade himself. So yeah, you got Wesley Snipes in there. So that would probably have to be my favorite episode. And then we move on to citizenship, where Nandor feels like he doesn't have a home anymore, and he feels like he has no home, no country, and everything else. And so Guillermo talks him into the possibility of maybe going in and becoming an American citizen. And that ends up with funny, hilarious results.
Yeah, well, that was a funny episode.
And then we get to the episode The Orgy, which I think really helped with Guillermo as a character, because the vampires are planning an orgy, and according to the vampires, like, having a bad orgy is like the worst thing you could possibly ever do. You cannot have a bad orgy. It's like, you will be...
it'll be remembered for literally centuries.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because, they're supposedly immortal.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, Nadia...
Is it the wind?
Sorry about that, guys. My door blew open. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh. So anyway, so Nadia even makes the Nadia even makes the claim that, like, there are a lot of vampire bats out there that are actually vampires, and they never turn back into vampires, and the reason why is because they threw bad orgies. It's like it's like the most shameful thing that a vampire can do. So they're trying really hard to get this orgy going and all this kind of stuff, and you get some really good funny jokes, like she keeps like harping on Guillermo, and she's all like, and Guillermo's like, yeah, I'm trying to do this, but, and she's like, but, you're like a nonstop butt machine. By the way, that reminds me, did you order the nonstop butt machine? So, but what I mean about this, really, this really helps Guillermo as a character, is that Guillermo and Nandor, they're in a party shop, and they're trying to look for things for the orgy, and one of Guillermo's friends comes up, and they start talking and everything else, and of course, they're vampires, so they want a virgin, and it turns out that the guy, this friend of Guillermo's, comes up and talks to him. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, he's clearly a virgin and all this stuff, and the guy has a nosebleed and a little bit of blood gets on the floor, and so Nandor, as soon as the guy leaves, Nandor's on the floor and he's like licking up the blood, and he's all like, we have to have him. And so at first Guillermo invites his friend over, and he's all like, yeah, come over to this party and everything else, and then Guillermo is like completely torn up about it, because like of course, you got to remember, Guillermo's whole motivation is he wants to become a vampire, and so he figures by doing his master bidding and everything else that he's going to become a vampire. He's going to get that dream. But at the same time, Guillermo is like, oh my god, what the hell kind of person am I? It's like, I may be a good familiar, but I'm a horrible friend. It's like, this guy, they're going to tear him apart, and and everything else. They see he's a virgin. It's like, this guy doesn't stand a chance, and all this kind of stuff. So it's nice to see that he's not cold-blooded, that he does have some heart to him, and things like that. And so, like, his whole thing is like he's going back and forth. What do I do? Well, if they go ahead and if I go ahead and let the vampires have him, then they'll go ahead and then I could still have a better shot becoming a familiar. But then again, too, he's a really nice guy, and I can't let them, because they're gonna tear this poor guy to pieces. It's gonna be a horrible death for him. So he's like going back and forth. I got to try to get him out. I got to try to get him out of this whole thing. And so and I'm not gonna go any further than that, but it's just nice to see they really try to build on the characters of everybody in the show. They build on Colin, all the vampires and stuff. The only thing is, though, is like, even though they try to keep teaching the vampires lessons, the vampires just seem like they never learn. They just keep going back to just being the same old vampires and stuff. And then we finally get to the final episode, which is Ancestry. And what Guillermo has done is he decided, just for shits and giggles, he decided he was going to do DNA tests of everybody, all the vampires and stuff. And so he's like, Nandor finds out that he has all these relatives and stuff like that. One of them even lives in Staten Island. Then he tells Nadia and Laszlo that he's done their ancestry too. And, so it's like he goes to give it to him. They're like, fuck off with that. We don't even want to know. And all this stuff. And so Guillermo finds out something very interesting about his ancestry. And I'm not going to say anything more about that, but it's definitely going to, obviously it's meant to be a cliffhanger to lead you into season 2. So
yeah, and that's pretty much how season 1 ends.
Yeah.
With that cliffhanger that we're not going to give away.
Yeah. But anyway, though, guys, I know I've been talking for quite a while. But I definitely recommend season 1 and season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows. There's definitely enough. Don't be afraid because it's comedy. It's like, no, dude. It's like, if you're a horror movie fan, trust me, there's plenty of horror elements in this. There's definitely enough to keep you interested. There's blood, there's death, there's carnage, all that other kind of stuff is in there. But if you're a fan of the movie and you're worried about whether the show's going to live up to it, don't. The show will perfectly. The show perfectly complements the show or the movie, and I honestly, that's just pretty much the way I feel about it. It's just I honestly feel like the show has a tiny little bit of an edge over the movie. But anyway, so I think I've said pretty much everything I need to say. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not really. Okay. Pretty much carried this one, but I've really been enjoying the show, and that's pretty much all I have to add. I also recommend you guys watch it.
Yeah.
And there should hopefully be a season 3. I guess that got
yeah,
kind of put on pause due to the pandemic. But
yeah. I saw on Facebook though the other day they did say that they just wrapped season 3, so hopefully we'll be getting that
hopefully
soon.
we'll be
Hopefully
getting
before the year's
yeah,
out.
I can't wait.
So, but yeah, so maybe what we can do is down the road, after you finish watching season 2, and then you could see the movie. Maybe we could do another video and you can give your thoughts on that. So anyway, so that's it. So thank you for coming back.
Of course, yeah.
So everybody, that's pretty much going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, we thank you for doing it, and we appreciate you for doing it. We honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Friday reviewer. We have different guys. Everybody's all doing good stuff. We have theme weeks and everything else coming up, which is going to be fun. So that's it, everybody. Take care. Have a good night. And don't be scared. Go ahead and watch What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. You're going to like it. Okay?
Yes.
If you like the movie, you're going to love the show. So everybody take care. Have a good night. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.